Hello everyone, my name is Brayden, this is Airless Quill 9, and in today's video, we are going to talk about the Aarakocra. Now, this is the first in a series of videos that I am going to do talking about each of the monsters in the new 2024 Monster Manual. I'm going to be doing these in alphabetical order, and the first on our particular list is the Aarakocra and the stat blocks within this section. So, Aarakocra are bird-like folk who soar the skies of countless worlds in the endless expanses of the elemental plane of air. They often resemble avians common to the lands where they dwell. Some resemble hawks or condors, while others appear similar to the hummingbirds or Archaeopteryxes. In many lands in Aarakocra tales their ancient heroics, resisting the wicked Queen of Chaos alongside the mysterious Wendoots of Aqua. Aarakocra are described in the 2024 Monster Manual as winged guardians of the sky. Their common habitats are mountain and planar regions, specifically the elemental plane of air. And the types of treasures that can be looted off of their corpses, for lack of a better word, are implements and individual. And of course, these are random magic item tables that we can roll on in the Monster Manual. Implement specifically is a table in the 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide. As for individual, this may be any individual type of treasure that you believe Aarakocra might have on their person as the DM. So the first Aarakocra stat block that we are going to look at is the Aarakocra Aeromancer. As you can see here, we have some neat art by Aaron Miller of the Aarakocra Aeromancer. Aeromancers control magical winds from the endless storms of the elemental plane of air. As you can see, Aarakocras used to be humanoids, but in this particular iteration, the Aarakocra Aeromancer is a medium elemental of neutral alignment. The neutral alignment is used here in place of any type of alignment. This just shows that they can be of any delineation morally, so that is why neutral is listed here in their particular stat block. As for stats and things of that nature, the Aarakocra Aeromancer has an armor class of 16, 66 hit points, which comes from 12d8 plus 12. That is the average of that amount. For speed, they have a 20-foot walking speed and a 50-foot fly speed. They have a +3 bonus to initiative or a static initiative score of 13. And as you can see here, for ability scores, the scores that the Aarakocra Aeromancer has are Strength 10, Dexterity 16, Constitution 12, Intelligence 13, Wisdom 17, and Charisma 12. You can also tell by these small tables in their ability scores that the Aarakocra Aeromancer has proficiency in dexterity saving throws as well as wisdom saving throws. For skills, they have Arcana +3, Nature +5, and Perception +7. As such, their senses grant them a passive perception score of 17. And the languages most common for an Aarakocra Aeromancer to know are Aarakocra, of course, and Primordial Orin, which is the air elemental dialect of Primordial. This is a CR4 creature, granting a experience points of 1100, and they have a proficiency bonus of +2. The Aarakocra Aeromancer doesn't have any special traits, however, it does have actions and reactions available to it. The first action that it has in its repertoire is a multi-attack. This allows the Aarakocra to make 2 wind staff attacks, and it can use spellcasting to cast Gust of Wind. You can see I placed below this stat block the Gust of Wind spell. This is a 2nd level spell that's normally an action to cast. The Aarakocra Aeromancer is able to cast this as part of its multi-attack, which is very unique to it. And this is a concentration spell for a duration of 1 minute, so this is also fairly unique. So the Gust of Wind spell creates a line of strong wind that's 60 feet long and 10 feet wide, blasts in a direction that you choose for the duration. Each creature in the line has to succeed on a strength saving throw, or they are pushed 15 feet away from the caster in a direction following the line. A creature that ends its turn in the line must make the same save. Any creatures in the line must spend 2 feet of movement for every 1 foot of movement that it moves when moving closer to the caster. And the gust disperses gas or vapor, extinguishes candles and similar unprotected flames in the area. It causes protective flames, such as those of lanterns, to dance wildly, and it has a 50% chance to extinguish them as well. In addition, whenever you're concentrating on the spell, you can use a bonus action on your later turns to change the direction in which the line blasts from you. So yeah, this is a pretty flavorful spell for the Aarakocra Aeromancer to know. And I think it's really unique that they're able to cast this as part of their multi-attack. As we can also see in the stat block, the Wind Staff attack is a melee or ranged attack roll, has a +5 to hit. It has either a reach of 5 feet or a range of 120 feet when we're making a ranged attack. On a hit, it deals 1d8 plus 3 bludgeoning damage, plus an additional 2d10 lightning damage. So on average, the Wind Staff is dealing about 18 points of damage, which is pretty good. And it makes 2 of these attacks as part of its multi-attack. So that's on average 36 points of damage in its multi-attack, which is pretty well off, especially for a CR4 creature. Spellcasting is another action in the Aarakocra Aeromancer's repertoire. They can cast one of the following spells requiring no material components and using Wisdom as their spellcasting ability. This gives them a spell save DC of 13. At will, they can cast Elementalism, Gust of Wind, Mage Hand, and Message. Gust of Wind is an at-will spell, so that's why they can cast it as part of their multi-attack as many times as they want, which is pretty good. And then once per day, if they want to, they can cast the Lightning Bolt spell, which is pretty good. It's a 150-foot line, I believe, and it deals 8d6 lightning damage. So that's a pretty potent spell to have in their repertoire. And even though it's only a once per day casting of that spell, that's a good thing to start off a combat with. Finally, for reactions, they have Featherfall, which is once per day, which lets them cast the Featherfall spell in response to the spell's trigger, using the same spellcasting ability as the spellcasting action. So yeah, overall, the Aarakocra Aeromancer is pretty flavorful. It really has that theme of a elemental spellcaster that can control the winds and the elements of air, and I'm really into the flavor of it. It does what it's wanting to do pretty well. I like the fact that they can use Gust of Wind as part of their multi-attack, and since it's only a bonus action to redirect that every turn, there's no need to recast it unless they lose concentration on the spell. In which case, they can do so as many times as they want, since that's an at-will spell. So overall, the Aarakocra Aeromancer is going to be a pretty potent combatant due to its fly speed, its high AC, and its ability to make ranged attacks and blow creatures away from it that are wanting to try to get within melee range. And just having that feather fall reaction in its back pocket just in case someone's able to knock it out of the sky makes the Aarakocra Aeromancer a pretty potent combatant in your D&D games. So with all that in mind, let's talk about the second stat block in this section, and the final stat block, in fact, as there are only 2 Aarakocra stat blocks available to us. And that final stat block is the Aarakocra Skirmisher. Now, the Aarakocra Skirmisher is an adept at fighting aerial foes amidst the clouds. They often attack landbound threats with diving attacks from above. And you can really see here, essentially what has occurred is this is a rework of the 2014 Aarakocra stat block. It was simply just called the Aarakocra, and it was a CR 1/4 stat block that was present in the 2014 Monster Manual. So they have done a few things to rework this initial stat block, and you can clearly see some of the changes that they've done here. But let's go through this stat block together. So the Aarakocra Skirmisher is a medium elemental of neutral alignment. It has an armor class of 12, hit points of 11, which come from 2d8 plus 2, at least the average of those rolls. They have a speed of 20 feet and a fly speed of 50 feet. And they have an initiative of +2 or an initiative score of 12. For ability scores, they have a strength of 10, a dexterity of 14, a constitution of 12, an intelligence of 11, a wisdom of 12, and a charisma of 11. For skills, they have a perception of +5. This gives them a passive perception of 15 for their natural senses. And for languages, the ones that they know most often are Aarakocra and Primordial Orin. And as I stated before, this is a CR 1/4. They grant 50 experience upon killing them, and they have a proficiency bonus of +2. The Aarakocra Skirmisher doesn't have any unique traits or reactions or bonus actions, but it does have a number of actions available to it in its repertoire. This includes a Talons attack, which is a melee attack roll, +4 to hit, reach of 5 feet. On a hit, it deals 1d4 +2 slashing damage, or it deals 3d4 +2 slashing damage if the Aarakocra moves 30+ feet straight toward the target immediately before the hit. This shows just how more potent this Aarakocra is when it is making a diving attack by diving through the air towards its opponent just before hitting it with those talons. Of course, if you want to keep this Aarakocra out of melee range, they do have a ranged attack option. This comes in the form of the Wind Javelin, which is a melee or ranged attack roll, +4 to hit, reach 5 feet, or range 20 feet. Hit, it deals 1d6 +2 piercing damage, plus 1d4 thunder damage. And on a hit or miss, the javelin will magically return to the Aarakocra's hand immediately after making a ranged attack. So if you really want to keep this Aarakocra Skirmisher at a range, flying in the air away from party members and peppering them with wind javelin attacks from the air, that is something that they can do quite well. And they're not dealing too much less damage as a result of that. But yeah, some really neat improvements here. I especially like the use of that wind javelin. This just makes sure that the Aarakocra Skirmisher is able to keep out of the reach of melee combatants if it so wishes, but the stat block also has the option for them to be within melee should that happen. And I really like the way that this particular stat block meshes with the Aarakocra Aeromancer itself. But yeah, these two stat blocks, both the Aarakocra Aeromancer and the Aarakocra Skirmisher, I think work very well together. Obviously, you can use the Aeromancer as a Aarakocra commander of a group of Aarakocra Skirmishers, and you can give your party a interesting boss battle against a group of Aarakocras led by a Aeromancer. So I feel like these two stat blocks just work pretty well together, and they give a very interesting direction to use both of these stat blocks in a combat. I feel like with there being two stat blocks now, there's a lot more applications for you to use these particular types of creatures in your D&D game. And now that you have some variety here, there's definitely the opportunity to add them into your game if you want to have your party deal with some Aarakocra in the future. But that will be it for this particular video. Like I said, this is the first part in a series of videos that we are going to do talking about the 2024 Monster Manual. Next on our list will be the dreaded Aboleth. The Aboleth are very scary creatures, and they have seen quite a few changes to their stat block in this 2024 iteration, so do keep an eye out for that upcoming video. In the meantime, thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'm working on boosting my channel and getting as many subscribers as possible, so your subscription would be greatly appreciated if you have the opportunity to do so. In the meantime, thank you so much, and I will catch you all in the next video. Have a good one, guys.